I don't think it should really surprise us anymore that I'm covering another Harmon Smith video already because he's had another horrendous take, and honestly, it's what you should expect. At this point, you might as well just make it a weekly occurrence that one of the videos, it will just happen to end up becoming a Harmon video. I would love to cover someone else, but he makes it really hard. And since PlayStation fanboys aren't doing anything really special, we might as well talk about Baldur's Gate and Harmon Smith's opinion on Baldur's Gate, because it still hasn't changed after a whole year. And for some reason, he thinks he should make a video talking about how the game is so-called bad, even though when I last checked, and which was about 2 days ago, the game still has around concurrently 80,000 to 50,000 players playing constantly, so I don't know, if a game is bad, I don't think that many people would be playing the game.
Today, 1 year ago, we were blessed with the release of Baldur's Gate 3, a game that came out, was very disappointing, was very quickly forgotten about, but for some reason...
Yes, the game is 100% forgotten. This Steam chart that I'm showing here, it's all made up. It was all made up by the CIA to prove that Nintendo was a lesser company and whatever other excuses you're going to say that Baldur's Gate is failing. It's a ploy by the government, it's a psyop or whatever.
For about 3 months, people wanted to hype up Baldur's Gate 3 as one of the best games of all time and one of the best games of that year.
I would not consider it one of the best games of all time, but I would consider it a Game of the Year, and I think it got Game of the Year, and I think the only reason why Baldur's Gate truly ever succeeded was because it's a true RPG that respects your choices and allows you to do as you desire and make a character that you want. Compare this to most games from either Sony, Ubisoft, and pretty much also Microsoft that choose to make these games and pretty much hold your hand through every situation and don't actually treat you like an actual functioning adult, let alone human. And I believe that right there is one of the biggest reasons why Baldur's Gate actually succeeded. First, it was a good game with a couple bits of content missing on launch, I guess that's any criticism I can really give them, but it allows you to make a character that you can be. It allows you to do something that you want to do. You want to wipe out an entire town? Go ahead and do it. It's the most amusing shit ever. I've done it. Very fun.
Right. I know that if you're not a Nintendo fan, there's not really anything to play. You know, Elden Ring was bad, Street Fighter 6 was bad, Tekken 8 was bad.
Man's really got all the L takes in one video, just says a bunch of games are bad because he either refuses to play them or won't play them or just needs to dislike them because they're not on Nintendo. Truly, you must live a miserable life. And I'm all for it. Keep being miserable. I get to make videos out of you. Please do it.
Ace Combat 7 was bad, Nier Automata was bad, Yakuza 0, Kiwami 1, 2, 7, 8, all those were bad. You know, Persona 5 was bad. Like, I know.
I swear, Harmon, whenever you say a bunch of games are bad, they obviously are good, because either they're not on just that Nintendo platform, or every time you call a game bad, it's because the game is either popular, good, or whatever else, and purely because it's not on Nintendo, and I genuinely think that every time you say that they're bad, it's an endorsement that they're good. Even though I may never play most of these games that you mentioned because either I don't care or War Thunder's got me covered, all I need to know is that those games, if I ever play them, are more than likely good purely because you hate them. And I like that.
If you're not a Nintendo fan, you're not playing good video games. But
oh yeah, if that's true, why have I spent nearly 150 hours over the last month playing Dwarf Fortress? If that wasn't, you know, good, I wouldn't be playing that game. I guess by your logic it must be bad.
Baldur's Gate 3 was a really weird situation in that a bunch of people came out religiously pushing for this idea that this game was like some kind of masterpiece, right? That it was like something special, something ridiculous, something insane.
Well, Harmon, Baldur's Gate was pretty insane. The simple fact that a lot of developers got pissed off at people saying, no, you shouldn't expect a good quality game on launch, no, that's too unrealistic of an expectation. That was some of the most funniest shit I've ever seen from developers crying on the internet over not being able to make a good game anymore. Good, lose your job, shitter, I don't care. Harmon, if you want to know why Baldur's Gate was so successful and everyone talked about it, it was because Baldur's Gate was a breath of fresh air. It was truly an RPG that people wanted to play, not the new RPGs that come out that barely even feel like an RPG and more of just a list of tasks that you may need to complete to make yourself feel good about playing the game. And alongside with the company being pretty good to its players, and, you know, the only issue that they really had with the game was adding in content that should have been there on launch, but, you know, who cares? We can give them the pass because they made a good game. That's the only time that it should genuinely be acceptable. But there's your answer, Harmon. A good studio, a good game, and most importantly, a very silly community.
And I've come to realize over the past year that This was essentially Undertale Light, right? The people hyping up Baldur's Gate 3 are the sort of people who don't really play video games, is what it all comes down to.
I'm genuinely offended you would call me gay by saying that we play Undertale. I'm never gonna play it. You can't make me. You never will. Not even if you pay me a cajillion dollars, or 50 doubloons. I don't really care. No, never. But saying that people that play Baldur's Gate also play Undertale and do other things and say that they don't play games or whatever, it's just a really weird thing to say because Baldur's Gate does require a bit of time out of you to actually get anything done in the game. So I don't know where this logic is coming from and how you think of it and how you interpret it, but I don't know. I guess you're just very special.
It is the same kind of situation as the people who pretended that Dragon Age Inquisition was good, right? People are damage controlling Baldur's Gate 3 because they think they can use it to normalize their bizarre political ideologies, right?
I don't really, okay, maybe, no, yeah, maybe I can actually see how you could say that there's politics associated with Baldur's Gate, but not necessarily because of the game, unless you include, like, pronouns and having trans characters. If you choose to make them, you can do that. I don't really know. If you consider that politics, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of what's standard in games now. I mean, I don't really like it. I think we should just go back to male and female, but you know, you do you, princess. But I would say that a lot of the discussion around this kind of became political, but I wouldn't say the game itself is trying to be necessarily political, so I don't really get the argument of, oh, the game's political, and it's only being done for said political reasons, you know? I don't know. I don't know what the developers do. I don't know if they said anything. Who knows? The game's just a good game, people like it, and that's all that we should really be looking at in a game.
They think it'll normalize sexual degeneracy. It'll normalize just far low weftism. Like they think it broke the mold when it comes to get woke, go broke.
Bro, Harmon's unironically based. I don't know about you boys, but I think Harmon's changed a new leaf. You could just spend your whole day talking about politics and almost everyone would probably agree with you, except those that disagree, but, you know, it's a really good way to show Harmon that you don't know what you're talking about by just taking a whole second to think before you actually say something. You know, you really could have cut that out and made it a bit more concise and people would have never batted an eye, but I'm gonna criticize it.
Right. Like, they really think that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 proves that, like, leftism is winning, and by propping up this minor video game release on the PC, that they think they're, like, proving some kind of crazy point. Like,
it really depends on what you believe, why they did it. Me, personally, I just believe that they added the pronouns and all that other stuff and the removal of gender as a whole, and that I actually don't remember. It's been a while since I've actually made a new character. I haven't played the game in a hot minute, but pretty much I think they only did that because they wanted to avoid criticism of not adding it into the game. Because if you look at a lot of the games that have, like, character customization, a lot of the biggest things you'll see from certain people in communities is, where's my pronouns, where's my removal of gender, or whatever else, you know, I don't necessarily care. The game's good, that's all I really care about, but, you know, if you're gonna make it, like, the main staple of the game and the biggest talking point of your game, then I'm not gonna buy your game. So who really cares? Did they do it for political brownie points? Who knows? Unless they say it, I don't know, I don't care. You made a good game. And if you want this to mean something a little bit more to you, this is coming from someone that's more or less right-leaning. Not like, you know, not like far-right, you know, like all those other fucking sissy liberals tell me that I am. I'm just right-leaning. Leave me alone. There. You get my big boy words of encouragement. Now let's make this channel highly political so we can piss off certain people in the community for the fun of it. We do what we might call a little bit of trolling.
Like, never mind that Hogwarts Legacy outperformed it. You know, never mind that Hogwarts Legacy is about as anti-woke as you can get.
I did not expect him to defend Hogwarts Legacy, as he was the one making fun of it and saying it's a bad game when it came out. It's good to see that he's turned tables and immediately just gone around defending it because it conveniences him in this argument that he's trying to make.
Considering the opinions held by Harry Potter creator J.K. Rowling. Like, never mind, you know, real-based and traditional, like, games like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Like, never mind that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is not nearly as popular or successful as it's made out to be.
I guess the millions of copies that they sold is probably fake, yeah, I mean, there's no proof, no logic to say otherwise. I guess it's just fake now. Yep, there's nothing I can say.
Right. Never mind that Larian has already been fired from the project. Never mind the game hasn't been properly finished. Never mind that, like, they will never be able to produce a Baldur's Gate 4. Never mind that Wizards of the Coast is, like, one of the biggest jokes of a company in the industry. No, let's just delude ourselves, you know, for 3 months until the end of Game Award season that this game is a masterpiece. Let's just sit here and pretend that this game is one of the best ever made and that it absolutely is worth getting excited over and worshiping.
I mean, it's just a fun game, Harmon. If you don't like a fun game, that's entirely up to you, princess, but, you know, it's just a fun game. You have fun. I would recommend if you haven't played it before, you should play it. It's just gonna be a good time if you're into RPGs. I don't really know what else to tell you. It's turn-based. It's up to you. Play it. It's fun. I enjoyed it.
For years to come, right? Like, let's keep up the facade. Let's keep up the illusion. Like, let's downplay all these, like, better Nintendo games. Let's do everything we possibly can to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 until something else comes out. And this is the reality. This is what's been happening since, I would argue, since Final Fantasy VII came out, is that a game comes out, people worship it as the next big thing, the most exciting release ever, and it immediately gets replaced by something else. You know.
Well, that's how it works, Harmon. When something popular comes out, everyone wants to be a part of it. It happened with Elden Ring, its DLC, Helldivers 2, Baldur's Gate, and whatever's next. It's not necessarily special. Everyone does it. People want to be a part of the popular thing. I'm sure it happened when Tears of the Kingdom came out.
Final Fantasy VII gave way to Final Fantasy VIII, which gave way to, like, Xenogears, which gave way to Final Fantasy X, which gave way to, like, you know, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Devil May Cry, and all that slop from the early 2000s, right? Like, the idea is to keep you distracted from the really good and interesting games that come out on Nintendo consoles, right? Tears of the Kingdom was not the only game on Nintendo Switch.
Well, it's the only one that I can remember, Harmon. I don't know what else they've done after it. I don't really pay too much attention to Nintendo, so I don't use their platform. I don't care.
In 2023, to easily outstrip and outperform everything Baldur's Gate 3 was trying to do. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 took like a decade to make. Like, we got Breath of the Wild, a sequel to Breath of the Wild, before Baldur's Gate 3 like got an actual full finalized release. Like, again, the difference in turnaround time here, the difference in quality is insane.
Yeah, it really is an insane difference in quality, isn't it?
And while Larian is like flailing around trying to like recover from the fallout of like Wizards of the Coast who fired them, Nintendo is putting out another Zelda game. You know, Echoes of Wisdom, which looks fantastic, right?
I don't know about that one, Pookie. You kinda hesitated while saying that, so it doesn't give me too much confidence that it's this great game that you're gonna make it out to be. I don't know. Hesitating while saying that it's not a good something to give confidence to people, so I don't know what to say. Let's just hope you're correct and it doesn't fall flat.
Echoes of Wisdom is a really good example of just how well run and organized the Zelda team actually is. It is going to be impossible for a game like Baldur's Gate 3 to distract people from Zelda going forward, because, like, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 is a year old now, right? You threw all of your resources and all your effort into downplaying Tears of the Kingdom, but you completely forgot about the fact that, like, another Zelda game could come out of nowhere, right?
I don't really think it was coming out of nowhere. I think we all knew that there was going to be another game eventually. It would be stupid to say that there wasn't. I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom was more than likely popular enough to see more games. And if it wasn't, we should be really asking a lot of questions, and I mean a lot of questions.
Again, like, the gaming industry did everything they possibly could to downplay Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, right? They tried to call it a rehash. It wasn't. They tried to call it uninspired in the same game as Breath of the Wild. It wasn't. They tried to say it wasn't that good to begin with. It was one of the best games ever made. Like, again, they threw all this propaganda at Tears of the Kingdom specifically, only for it to fall to complete pieces.
I don't think I've ever seen journalists go out of their way to actually shit on Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe some little criticisms here and there, but I guess the only actual criticism people can look at is a reusing of the already existing world from the previous game, but that's pretty much it. I don't think I've ever heard anyone actually criticize the game that much. Especially games journalists. They're not known for criticizing it.
With the announcement of Echoes of Wisdom, right? Again, if you simply hate all of these Nintendo games, you're not a Nintendo fan, and you shouldn't be taken seriously.
No shit. If they don't like the games, they're not a Nintendo fan. Why would they want to be a fan of something if they don't like it? I don't even know what to say. Like, that should be pretty obvious if you put your brain cells together.
Right? People have been trying to talk down to Echoes of Wisdom. They've been trying.
I don't even know what it is. I genuinely just heard the name, like, yep, probably new Zelda game, yep, and that's pretty much it. I don't even know what it's about, what they're gonna do with it, or what they're trying to achieve with it. It's just kinda there, it exists.
To resort to their old tricks, but it's one of those situations where, like, they do the same thing so often that even, like, people are beginning to notice, like, the pattern, right? People are beginning to notice that, like, people obsessively hate Nintendo products no matter what.
See, I don't care what Nintendo produces, but I hate it when they take down emulators because they're not going to put the games on their platform or put them on PC where people are wanting to buy them. That's why I hate Nintendo. I don't care about their games. Their games are usually pretty good for the most part. So this is pretty much the end of this video. There's nothing left to really cover. I'm gonna leave it here, and I hope you all have a great day. But before we go, I'm sorry I couldn't find anyone else. We had to cover Harmon again, but, you know, no PlayStation fanboy or Xbox fanboys are really doing anything interesting. All the PlayStation fanboys are existing and talking about individual stocks in Sony for some reason. I'm sure none of them know how to actually invest in a company, so I don't know why they even bother, but I guess whatever bragging rights they can find these days. And we're also roughly 60 subs away from 2K. Very close. Help me out here. We're really, really close. And I hope you all have a great day. See you in the next one.